Computer. Okay, so hopefully we can wrap this up pretty quickly because you've already know a little bit about this. So what we're going to talk a little bit about today is in terms of the project pitch. And so last year you guys were familiar with doing the pitch, so you know a little bit about what it's about. But what I did was kind of add to my PowerPoint presentation to give some background and some idea of what it's about and you know why we do it. And so what I'll do is let me just get that slide ready. So share screen, project match. Okay, so from current slide. So we talked yesterday a little bit about this idea of build projects versus design projects and what the objectives of the projects were and all of that. And so, but we didn't really talk about the project pitch. And so I felt like yesterday, and I think Hammer, you can even concur with this because I think you kind of set this tone. A lot of people found the project pitch to be a very intimidating thing. And so I want to kind of avoid that and just kind of give you this idea that the project pitches shouldn't be an intimidating thing. It's just an opportunity for you and I to get together to talk about your idea and come up with, put the puzzle pieces together and come up with kind of the best idea for how you're going to go about doing your project. And so today we'll talk just a little bit about the project pitch and what's that all about. So kind of the objectives of the pitch and what it needs to be and what it's all about. Before your engineering project gets started, we're going to have to approve it and make sure that it's suitable for a project, that it's reasonable. And definitely with you international guys, we're really going to have to, look at this constraint of you being away from school and figure out whether or not that this project is going to be feasible. Are you going to be able to get the resources that you need? What even are those resources? And so on and so forth. So we're really going to talk about those kind of questions and try to iron out what a project is going to look like for you that will be beneficial for you. It will help you learn different things, and that it's also feasible from a distance. And so let's talk a little bit about what these project pitches are. So project pitches are, again, like a conversation, an ongoing conversation between you and I. And, I feel like these project pitches, I don't think that there was any of them last year where I had no idea what, you were thinking about doing for a project. We would have talked about ideas, in previous check-ins, and I would have had some sort of basic understanding of what you were thinking. And so it's definitely not something that's new news for me. So the project pitch is all about having just an individual meeting with myself. Obviously, for you guys, it's going to be a virtual meeting for yourself where you are actually going to be the one presenting the information. So you'll be kind of like the host of the meeting, or I'll give you host rights so that you can do a meeting. And so, so you're going to deliver a short presentation about your proposed project. The layout is going to be pretty similar to what it was last year for you guys. So you're going to be pitching your ideas for a project, not really ideas, idea for your project, kind of like Shark Tank, but not nearly as intimidating. And then also it also gives us a chance to kind of, if the project isn't kind of perfect, or there's some opportunity to kind of massage some details out and make it more clear, it gives us a chance to do that as well. And then ultimately you'll know by the end of the meeting whether or not it's kind of a go or no go. And I don't think I really had any no goes last year. It was more like, well, maybe let's kind of take it in this direction. We'll keep your idea, but let's look at this instead of that. And so usually we would kind of just take your idea and kind of modify it slightly to make it more applicable to what we're after. So that's a little bit about kind of what it looks like and what it is. Let's talk a little bit about the basics of the presentation. And so there are going to be two types of projects, obviously the build and the design project, and the two project pitches look different. And so for you guys, you know, well, Jeremy and Aquinas, I'm not sure. I still, I guess, want you to do design projects, but if Hammer, if you want to think about doing some sort of a build project, since you're at a FAR, if that would be more feasible, I'm not sure. We'll have to talk about that. You know, if we can do a design project, that'd be great. But maybe a build project might be up your alley. I don't know. We can talk about it during check-ins. So the sections are different. So the way that I set the animations up, unfortunately incorrectly on PowerPoint, I did the design project first. So let's talk a little bit about design project. So first off, you know, you want to start your presentation with clearly identifying the problem, having a slide that's all about what problem you're trying to solve. Then you're going to have a slide or maybe 2 slides, maybe 3 slides, depends on the project that you're thinking about, to identify the constraints. And remember that, you know, the more constraints that you can identify, the more confident you are going to be in understanding how your project is going to progress from start to finish. And so this is the vision, right? And so once you define the constraints and identify the problem, now it's time to actually solve the problem and figure out how you plan to go about doing that while sticking to the constraints and making sure that you're not disobeying the restrictions. And so you'll outline your design. Then how are we going to go about and model the design? And, you know, this could be a form of digital modeling, like CAD modeling. It could be, you know, prototyping with Arduinos or, you know, circuit boards, like breadboards, that kind of thing. But somehow you're going to need to make a model and try to figure out how your project is going to go together. Then ultimately, you'll have a couple slides on what kind of resources you will need. And this, you guys, is really important for you guys to think about, like, well in advance, because we need to think about whether or not you can actually gain access to the resources that you want to use. You know, if you define this design project and it's you know, great idea and it's going to be fantastic, and then you find out that you can't actually get the kind of parts that you need, that's going to be a real big letdown. So we need to really think about that for you international guys. And so, and then ultimately you want to outline a cost estimate. How much is this all going to cost? And, you know, we'll figure out how we can get it paid for. Okay. So that's kind of design projects. Let's talk a little bit about the build projects. They're a little bit different when it comes to the outline, the basics of the presentation. And so the first page will be kind of defining the purpose of this kit that you're building. Why are you building it? What kind of personal attachment do you have to it? And so definitely want you to think about that. And this is a little bit different. You're not going to really identify constraints because an engineer has already done that for you in the one who designed the kit, right? And so, but what I do want you to do is research fully how your device functions. And so, you know, that's important. So like if we think about like a drone kit, something like that, you know, I want you to make sure that you know what all those components do within that drone kit. And so, you know, what is the flight controller responsible for? What are all the motors? You know, how are they working? How are they hooked up? Where do they hook up? All of that. So I think when you hit roadblocks along the way, then ultimately you'll be more confident in solving those problems if you know how your device functions. Hi, Morris. I'm almost done here and I've been recording this. So I will get you access to this recording. So next slide in this presentation will be what skills you will gain by building this. Ultimately, you know, one of the objectives of doing a build kit is the fact that you will gain tools that you can put into your toolbox, or skills that you can put into your toolbox. And so what are those skills? What are those things that you'll be learning along the way? And then again, what resources are you going to need? And where are we going to get these things? Can we get them? We need to think about that, and then outline a cost estimate. And then we can look at the feasibility of all this and figure out, is it doable or is it not? So do you guys have any questions about that? Okay. So the next one, I outlined kind of the check-in schedules for the US students. And I guess Aquinas, you're in 8th period, obviously. So, you're thinking about coming back to the US here fairly soon. So I've got you as a check-in, and we can look back at this, but your check-in will be Wednesday at 2:25. So, these are scheduled check-ins. So that's what I have for lab. And so if you guys don't have any questions about that, we can kind of just, well, actually what I'll do is I want to talk a little bit about schedule now. So the next couple days, I told you Thursday and my Friday lab, we won't meet. Okay. And so really it's all about giving you the opportunity to have a little bit of a breather and, start thinking about and brainstorming different projects that you can work on. And so you guys really need to think about this. You really need to do some brainstorming to figure out what's going to be feasible and what's not. And so the idea is that we're going to commence with this schedule, the one that I gave you a little while back. And this has got all of your scheduled times for check-ins. And so we'll actually do check-ins next week. And so next week, what I want you, like for example, on Monday, Morris, we'll, instead of all meeting together at 8:30 p.m., you and I individually will meet. And what I want you to do is kind of come to the meeting with some ideas that we can talk about for project. And so I'm in the process of uploading a document, which these you three guys have seen before. I might modify it slightly, but it's kind of a document that asks you some questions to get you kind of thinking about what types of projects you would want to get involved in. And so it's kind of like what I call the brainstorming organizer. And it's a way to kind of organize your thoughts and flesh out some details. And so I'm going to get that to you, real quick. Oh, probably calm down real quick. So just to reiterate, we're going to go with this schedule for next week. So we won't be meeting, Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. The only time we'll get together as a big group is that Thursday, unless something changes and I inform you otherwise. So does that sound all right? Okay. All right, Morris. So I'm gonna stop the video here. How do I do that? Pause sharing. I wonder if I have to just end the meeting. Oh, there we go. I can do